Welcome to Faculty Focus, the podcast of the Faculty of Pharmaceutical, Biomedical and Veterinary Sciences of the University of Antwerp, live from our annual Faculty Research Day, where we highlight the research of our professors and PhD researchers. I am Teun.
And I am Marleen.
Next on the podcast, we're going to talk about natural products for human health with Assistant Professor Emmy Tuenter of NatuRAPT. That's Natural Products and Food Research and Analysis, Pharmaceutical Technology. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
On your LinkedIn page, you write, and I quote, "My research is focused on phytochemistry, biotransformation and bioactivity of natural products, exploring the health-promoting properties of medicinal plants, marine organisms and food production in order to use them in the most safe and effective way is the central objective of the research projects I'm involved in. When it comes to food and health, there's a thin line between science and pseudoscience. Food research can be a difficult research topic, and why did you choose this path?"
My background lies more in the pharmaceutical approach, so the medicinal products used as drugs. And it was during my postdoc where we did research on cocoa and chocolate, where I saw that there is actually a big overlap between foods and natural products used as medicine. And my idea is that the techniques that we apply for analyzing these natural products that are being used as medicine can just as well be used to improve the analysis of food products. So that's why now I'm broadening the spectrum, let's say, to also include these food products, but still focusing on foods that are beneficial for our health.
Okay.
So it is a very noble mission, helping to develop and implement appropriate methods as control mechanisms for plant-based consumables. Why is it important that such control mechanisms exist?
Well, what we see nowadays, products that are on the market, there are different types. We have herbal medicinal products, so these are actually registered as medicine. We have food supplements, which also can be based on natural products, so plant constituents. And you also have regular foods based on, let's say, plants or other natural constituents. And there are different criteria applying to the quality control. So safety always has to be guaranteed. That's very important that consumers only can purchase safe products. But for the quality control, the regulations vary. And I actually think it's a shame. Many consumers are not aware, especially of the difference between herbal medicinal products and food supplements. And the control of quality on food supplements at this moment, in my opinion, is not as high quality as it should be. So there are food supplements, and we've contributed to some work, some reports by Testaankoop, for example, analyzing food supplements on their content of active constituents, and you find a very big variety. Some indeed contain what is stated on the label, and some contain much less. And I think that's something that it shouldn't be possible that this is happening in our country.
Yeah.
So
a lot of work in that field, I can imagine. Yeah. Did you hear about the droomsap story?
No, I don't think so.
It's something in the Netherlands and in Belgium. It's some juice you can take to sleep better, but there are now a lot of negative health effects.
I think it's a mixture of different plants, yes. I believe. I read about it indeed.
Yeah.
And they're trying to limit the sales.
The side effects are really quite heavy side effects.
I think indeed it's a fair point. Many people think, it's a natural product, it will be safe, but it's not automatically that it's natural, that it's also safe to use. It can also have side effects. It can have interactions with actual medicine. Yeah. So cautious use is important.
Yeah. And there are so many variables when it comes to plants, right? What is the most significant challenge as a scientist working with plant-based materials?
There are many challenges, I would say. Indeed, you have batch-to-batch variations when you work with plant material, so seasonal variation, geographical variation. You also want to work in a sustainable way, so there are many things to take into account. And I think we're trying to improve or work on all these parts by, for example, not using roots anymore, but replacing these by working with leaves. Of course, you need to check that they have the same activity, but in that way you don't have to remove the whole plant, but you can just take a part and the plant itself can still continue to grow. And with regard to the variation, what is ideally done is that you perform a standardization of extracts. So you always quantify the active constituents and you try to have stable levels of these from batch to batch. But this is surely not done for all products on the market yet, so a lot to be done.
Okay.
Yes.
And for centuries, mankind has used natural products to maintain health or treat illness. How do you decide which of these traditional remedies is worth studying in the lab today?
Well, what we do is sometimes we consult traditional healers.
Okay.
So this is not a common practice here in the Western world, but for example, in Africa or South America, this is really normal that people, when they have issues with their health, they consult a traditional healer and he or she then recommends a certain plant to be used. And so we also ask these people, okay, which plants do you recommend to which types of disease conditions? And then we do a literature study on the plants that they mention. We also collect the plant material, and especially the plants that are not studied a lot yet are of our interest. And then we do a first screening on bioactivity to see if there is potential, and if so, then we continue to look further into the active constituents.
Okay. And are you scared that all the knowledge that lives with these traditional healers is disappearing? Or is it important to write all that knowledge down?
Yeah, on the one hand, well, there are some communities where that's being done, like traditional Chinese medicine. It's well documented, but there are also other types of traditional medicine where it's just mouth-to-mouth communication, and the information goes from one generation to the next. And I don't think that will disappear, actually. It's still something very actively being done in these communities, and I think that will continue to be done in this way. I just think that the scientific data we have to support this use hopefully will only be extended, and we will continue to increase having the scientific data to support this use.
And when you scientifically prove that a certain plant that grows in South America has a lot of health benefits, is there like a danger that pharmaceutical companies start exploiting the land and taking out the plants?
Well, nowadays there is also a lot of attention for the benefit sharing. Indeed, in case a promising plant is identified, already from the start of the research, the Nagoya Protocol has to be followed. And so there is an agreement between the community providing the plant material and the researchers working on it to make sure that the people who originally were working with these plants also have benefits if a promising compound is identified. So that's taken care of. With regard to over-harvesting, that's not particularly included in the Nagoya Protocol, but I hope that the pharmaceutical companies realize that they have a responsibility to take, and they will not follow that kind of practices. Yeah.
They might grow their own.
Yes, exactly.
Or they can figure it out how to.
Like with the thalassia.
Indeed. And sometimes there is also semi-synthesis, so you start with a natural product and there are some chemical modifications done later on in the lab that can also be done. Yeah.
And there's still a lot of things to learn about the marine organisms. But is there a part of your research that you believe holds the most promise or could have the biggest impact?
The project on sea cucumbers that is going on right now, I think there is really a huge knowledge gap there. And so there was a literature review we did a few years ago, and we saw that there were quite some chemical analysis done, but in a bit superficial way is not the right word, but screening in the extract, while actually it would have been necessary to go through the whole process of isolation to know which compounds are inside these sea cucumbers. And there is still a gap between this monitoring in the organism as such and the actual constituents. And of course, we first have to clarify this before we can go to the bioactivity of these constituents. So I think I'm very curious to see what will come out of this project. Yeah.
And also our gut is of more and more interest to researchers and seem to have more to say about our health than we might expect it 20 years ago. Do you think that influencing how plant compounds are absorbed and transformed in our body could lead to new treatments now or in the future?
Well, I think it will take some time before that's the case. But there is a very interesting interplay between the microbiome, the gut microbiome, and these natural products. So on the one hand, gut microbiome is responsible for biotransformation, but we also see that some natural products like polyphenols can affect the composition of our gut microbiome, and they can have even like a prebiotic effect. So I think in that way we can also maybe improve or adapt our gut microbiome by consuming the right foods. So it's a complex system, for sure more to study there. But I think there's a lot of potential, and let's see what happens in 10 or 20 years, yes.
Good.
And for your research, you use an in vitro gastrointestinal model. Can you tell us how that works?
Yeah, so it is a model that mimics the gastrointestinal tract.
Uh-huh.
So there is a stomach phase, a small intestinal phase, and a colon phase. And this last phase, the experiments are done in an anaerobic chamber, so without oxygen, like the actual state of our gut in our body.
Yeah.
And in this last phase, we have compounds or extracts of interest. We submit it to the different phases, and in the last phase, they are co-incubated with human stool samples to see the biotransformation going on in the colon. And at each stage we take samples that are then being analyzed to see the different steps in the biotransformation.
Do you think that that's an important step for quantification, using such a model to guarantee the quality and safety of herbal products?
I don't think that's really important for quality and safety, but more for the efficacy, actually.
Okay.
Because the compounds that are responsible for the activity are the ones which reach our circulation, our blood circulation, and very often they are not the same as the ones that are present in the product we consume.
Okay.
So there is this link between the products we take in, then the biotransformation, and then the metabolites, which eventually will express the bioactivity.
So the plant itself is not always the medicine, it's what our body creates afterwards.
Yeah, it can be considered like a prodrug maybe.
Yeah.
So it's not the case for all natural products, but in many cases we see that that's the case. Yeah.
Okay. Before we wrap up, is there something you want to add to the conversation that you think that we missed and you think our listeners might find interesting? Probably a lot, but...
Well, I think, and it was also the main message I tried to convey during my presentation, when we teach students about analytical methods, it seems quite theoretical, perhaps even a bit boring. But I think when you see the applications and the goals that you can reach by applying these methods, that it becomes clear that they are really important and they are very useful, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Good message.
Good message. And then I want to ask you one last question. What advice would you give to a young aspiring scientist?
Search for a topic to research or to carry out your research on that you really enjoy. I think that's the most important part. If you're motivated to perform your research, then you will get there in the end.
Okay.
So enthusiasm, that's
Check.
key.
Check.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much
Thank you,
to
Emmy.
come by, and good luck with your research.
Thank you.
Thanks.